Hello everyone and welcome to the part 2 of our lesson for direct and indirect speech. So today we will be talking, at this point in time, at this point in time, we will be talking about how to convert direct speech to indirect speech. We are going to report things that you have said. So for example, nako istorya diri. And then there will be a chance nga inyo rin siya, kung unsa akong gisulti, you will also report that one, let's say for example to your classmates, kung magpatabang ba ron sa lesson, di ba? Mostly, mauna may tabo. So, this skill is very important for you to learn and we have to learn how to do this skill correctly. Okay? So, let's start with our lesson for today. How are we going to convert direct speech to indirect speech? Okay? So, here are the rules or the steps in changing direct speech to indirect speech. First of all, we have to omit or remove the quotation mark. So, kuhaon na to siya. And then, secondly, the comma that separates the speech tag, especially if ang speech tag or ang simple clause naa sa una nga part sa sentence, and the quoted part is not used. So, katong mga quotation marks, kwaon to na, katong mga comma, kwaon na to siya. Okay? The word that, next number 3, the word that is used to introduce the reported statement. So mahimo siyang she said that, he said that, they said that. So naag na that, okay? And then the verb in the speech tag is retained. So katong nasa simple clause or sa atong speech tag, ang verb niya maura gyapon siya, dili na nato hilabtan. Okay? Now how are we going to change direct speech to indirect speech? Now there will be four changes from direct speech to indirect speech, and these are the following. Number 1, there will be changes in the verb tenses, which will be the majority of our lesson for today. Secondly, there will also be pronouns and possessives. Okay? Number 3, there will be changes in direct address, and number 4, there will be changes in the time and the address or the location. Okay? So, sir, unsaon ni? How are we going to do this one? Okay, don't worry. I just said it. We will be talking about this today. Okay? So, unsay mausab sa verb tenses? This is our first one. Unsay mausab sa verb tenses? Okay? So, first of all, when the verb in the speech tag is in the present tense, let's say for example, say or says, tell or tells, declare or declares, ask or asked, the verb in the quoted part remains. If ang speech tag niya, katong walay labot sa quotation marks, is in present tense, we do not have to change it. Wala tay dapat usbon. Okay? Sa verb, sa verb. So, here for example, direct speech says, Kikay says it is spring in New York. Sa indirect speech, kay says man ang ato ang speech tag, we do not have to change the verb in the direct speech. So mahimo siyang Kikay says it is spring in New York. Dili siya mausab. Okay? If ang speech tag is also in present tense. If present tense. Okay, don't worry. Napanitila yung example. So direct speech. Sa direct speech, Kikay admits so much has changed. If we convert that to say indirect speech, Kikay admits that so much has changed. Walay na usab. Ug wala pa na usab sa tense sa verb because again, the speech tag is in present tense. Now, what if past tense ang speech tag, Sir Kevin? Mao na ni. This is where you have to put the majority of your effort, okay? Now, when the verb in the speech tag is in the past tense, let's say for example, said, told, declared, and asked, the verbs in the quoted part change. So mausab ang verb sa quotation mark. So these are the conversions that we have to learn. Now, if ang direct speech simple present tense ang gigamit, in indirect speech mahimo siyang simple past tense or past simple tense. Let's say for example, atong verb sa direct speech is make or makes. Abot na itong indirect speech, mahimo siyang past tense, simple past. Unsay simple past sa make or makes? Made, di ba? So, mahimo siyang, she said, I make sandwiches. Sa atong indirect speech, mahimo siyang, she said, she made sandwiches. Okay? So, I hope klaro ra na. Simple present to simple past. Remember that one. Simple present tense, mahimo siyang simple past tense if naka-past tense ang speech tag. Again, we will only change it if the speech tag is in past tense. Okay? So, mao ni siya from simple present to simple past. Now, let's go to our next conversion. Now, if present progressive, Sir Kevin, what is present progressive? We have here example, am, is, or are making. Okay? Am, is, or are plus the ing of the verb. So, make man atong verb, so making siya. So, am, is, and are making. That's present progressive. Ano mga am? I am watching, he is cleaning, they are doing. Kana siya, mao na siya mga present progressive. Now, from present progressive, we convert that one, ato na nato sa indirect speech, we go to the past progressive. And the past progressive is like this, was or were. Na yun, the ing form of the verb. Okay? So, was and were, and then the ing form of the verb. Let's see our example. She said, I am making sandwiches. I am making sandwiches. Abot na to sa conversion to indirect speech, mahimo siyang, she said, she was making sandwiches. Okay? Klaro ra. From present progressive to past progressive. From I am making sandwiches to she was making sandwiches. Next, we go to our next conversion from simple past. If na ang quoted material or ang quoted words or ang direct speech is in simple past, then we have to convert it to past perfect tense. And the past perfect tense, kaya na ay had. Had and then the past tense, the past form of the verb. Okay? Past participle of the verb. So, made. Okay? So, made, and then had made. So, for example, sa atong sentence, she said, I made sandwiches. Ato na itong indirect speech, mahimo na siyang, she said, she had made sandwiches. Okay na? Sabta na? Okay. So, ana na siya, ana ra gyud siya ka sayon. Next, from, di ba, we already talked about this one. From simple past, maadto siya into, mahimo siyang past perfect. So, kinahanglan butangan nato siya og had. Now, we have here another one, past progressive. Past progressive, unsay buhaton? Now, past progressive is, if past progressive siya, mahimo siyang was. I was making. Okay? Or were. Was or were making. Okay? Now, that's past progressive. Now, when you convert that past progressive, I was making or they were making, mahimo siyang past perfect progressive. And the past perfect progressive is we put the had, and then we put the been, and then the ing form of the verb. So, sa atong example, she said she had been making sandwiches. So, ana siya. Okay? So, remember, from past progressive, I was or they were making, were or was making, ing form, mahimo siyang had been. Had been rin siya, had been, and then making. Okay? So, that's how we transform past progressive to past perfect progressive. And next one, we have the present perfect. So, sa present perfect, has or have made. Has or have, in the past tense of the form, the past participle of the verb. So, has or have made. So, ato example, she said, I have made sandwiches. Now, when we convert this one into indirect speech, the present perfect becomes a past perfect tense. And the past perfect tense, of course, had plus the past participle. So, mahimo siyang from have to or has made, mahimo siyang had made. So, atong sentence will become, she said she had made sandwiches. Okay? So, I hope klaro ra. Klaro na now, we go to our modal verbs, okay? So for example, if will ang gigamit, mahimo siyang, sa indirect speech, mahimo siyang would. So, she said, I will make sandwiches. Sa indirect speech, mahimo siyang, she said she would make sandwiches. Past tense, okay? So from will, mahimo siyang would. Napagitay lain, very easy ra gyud. From can to could. Can as direct speech. Kung gigamit ang can as direct speech, inigabot na to indirect speech, gamiton na to ang, we are going to use could. So from she said I can make sandwiches, in the indirect speech we say she said she could make sandwiches. Okay? Next one is may or might. May to might. So mugamit ta, we're going to use may in the direct speech, and in the indirect speech we use might. So in our example, she said I may make sandwiches. In the indirect speech we say she said she might make sandwiches. Okay? So from may, the conversion will be from may to might. Okay? Now, if the quoted sentence is a fact or general truth, the present tense is retained. So if it's a fact, ang gisulti, bisag unsa pa ang, bisag past tense pa gani, bisag past tense gani ang bisan pa og past tense, even though the speech tag or the simple clause is in past tense, if it is talking about a fact or a general truth, then we retain the present tense. So for example, here, mercy means thank you in French. She explained. Even though past tense and explained, we are not going to change the means there. Ang verb. We're not going to change the verb there because, of course, mercy is thank you in French. And it does not change. It's a fact. It's a general truth. So no need for us to change mercy, ang means to mean. Okay? So no need na yun na. Okay? Now, there will be also changes in the pronouns and the possessives. Now, pronouns and possessives keep a change to keep the speaker's original meaning. So, what do you call this? Mausap siya. Depende kung kinsa ang speaker. So, for example, ang atong example here, Kikay said that tree is our symbol for New York. Inig-add to na to indirect speech. The sentence will become Kikay said that that tree is their symbol for New York. Kaya yun ano mag-yun ni class. I'm not Kikay. Ha? I'm not Kikay. I'm just reporting what Kikay said. And Kikay is from New York. So when Kikay said that tree is our symbol, si Kikay may nagsulti. But then if akong i-report sa inyo, I am not Kikay man. Di man ko si Kikay. So that's why I am going to use there. Kay ilahaman. Ilahamang symbol for New York ang kana nga tree. That's not our symbol. I'm not included in New York. Diba? So that is why we have to change the pronouns and the possessives. Kay para maklaro na to, kinsa ang gina-refer. Who is being referred to in that pronoun. Okay? We have another example for pronouns and possessives. Tony said, we have never been to New York. Si Tony ha. Si Tony was the one speaking. And Tony was saying na sila. Dili kami, dili kita, sila. We have never been to New York. When we convert that one into indirect speech, may mo siyang Tony said that they. Kawala man tay labot nilang Tony. When we report that speech, we say, Tony said that they had never been to New York. Klaro na ninyo. Ang we, from the we there, we change the we to they. And they becomes, of course, nailis na siya and mao na atong dapat gamiton. That's what that's the one that we should be using for our indirect speech. Okay? Now, there will be also changes in the direct address. Usually, the word told is used even if the verb tag bisag unsa pay naa sa speech tag, bisag unsa pa nga verb ang nasa speech tag, we are going to use told. Okay? If naay direct address, if there is a direct address or naay person nga gisultian. Let's say for example in our sentence, Kikay said, Tony. Kikay said si Kikay. Let's say for example, si Kikay ko. Kikay said, Tony, I was only a child at that time. Lain mo po kaayog imo i-report speech dahil mura ra kang istorya ni Tony, di ba? You're not part of the conversation. So what are we going to do? We convert that one into this one. Kikay, bisag unsa pa, depende nga ni ana ko bisag unsa pa ang verb sa speech tag. It won't matter kay Elisa na tuog told. So Kikay told Tony that she was only a child at that time. So mao na siya ang indirect speech ato nga sentence. Okay? Sabtan na. Very easy ra yun. If you have any questions, don't hesitate, to ask me during our kanang check-up time. Okay? Or during in your exit ticket. But mostly sa exit ticket man gyud dili mo gyud ako mabasa kay the exit ticket is just for attendance. So if you have any questions, I will call you on the second day, on the Tuesday, and I will check upon you. Okay? Now, there will also be changes in time and location. So sa time and location, mao ni ang mahitabo. Mausab siya depende sa speaker. Kay we need to retain the speaker's original meaning, time and location. Kay if dili na to ilisdan, let's say for example, mo ana ako ang speaker, di ba? Mo ana ko nga the time is now. Mo ana ko ninyo. The time let's have another example. Tomorrow we'll have an exam. Ana ko. I'm saying that one. But when you report that one to your classmates at another day, it will change, di ba? Di kami muhatag ba si sir og test ugma. Dayon inyo na ni ang kana si ang ako tong gisulti nga statement pag Monday day, inyo tong gi-report pag Tuesday. So tomorrow ma-exam Wednesday. Dili man. Kay Tuesday man ko ma-exam, dili man Wednesday, di ba? So, that is why we have to change certain words that tell about time and location. Okay, so you can see that one on the list there and take note. So from now, mahimo siyang then and at the time and so on and so forth. Take note of that. Kay for example, maana ko nga this is for example, maana ta nga di ba ni ana tong character sa usa ka movie nga this is Sparta. Ayun, inig indirect speech na to, inig reported speech na to. Uy, niingon ba siya nga this is Sparta? Oh, kani atong Sparta? Dili, uy. The Sparta was the one being indicated in the movie. And this is not Sparta. So that's why we have to change that one into that. As you can see in our table there, mahimo siyang that. So mana siya nga that is Sparta. Okay? So, here's our example. So, sa ato example, I don't think we ought to be here at all, boys, Nana said. So, ato na itong indirect speech, when we convert that one, mahimo siyang, Nana told the boys, o di ba na ato yung direct address, boys? So, Nana told the boys that she did not think, mahimo siyang past tense, ang do, not think that they ought to be, dili here, kay dili man ta pareha og here ni Nena. Lahi man ang here ni Nena. Lahi po ang ato ang here. That's why we have to change that one from here to there. So, she did not think that they ought to be there at all. Okay? Another one. Tony asserted that was only a year ago. Dili man ta parehag ago ni Tony. So, what are we going to do with our indirect speech? So, mahimo siyang Tony asserted that had been only a year before. Klaro-klaro na atong conversion from direct speech to indirect speech. Okay, mostly, you will be using this one. For example, if you're part of the journalism class, or for example, maghimo baron mo o kanang research, or nabaroy assignment, then alangan mo po diretso ninyo og lift ang statement of someone. 'Di ba? So dapat ninyong buhaton is you have to make that one as a direct speech, or most probably mahimo siyang indirect speech. So that ends our lesson for today. I hope that you are learning something. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask me later on or tomorrow for our kanang synchronous session. Okay? So thank you everyone for watching. Have a good day.